Hello! I'm glad to have all of you here today. As future teachers, we all agree that we need to have solid foundation of self-awareness, and we also need to understand the kinds of learners that we will have. It is said that what the old generation likes may not be the same as what the new generation prefers in their life, work, and leisure. I believe that all members of every generation have come across this thought. The question is, do you know what generation do you belong to? The next slide might be able to show as we start our discussion on the preferences of the technology generation. So, what generation do you belong to? First in line, we have the baby boomers. These are the children born after the World War II. Their ages now might be around 53 to 71 years old. This could be your grandparents or your parents. Next, we have the MTV generation. They are called MTV generation because this is the time of the great music of the 70s and early 80s. We have a lot of famous musicians that shaped the music industry for all the years to come, born during this generation. They were born between 1965 to 1980, and they might be around 37 to 52 years old now. Finally, we have the millennials on the third row. These are children born during the internet boom from 1981 to 2000, and they are now our young professionals and junior executives of today. Most of us here are millennials, so you and I belong to this generation. Finally, we have the centennials or the I generation. These are the children who never knew life without mobile phones and internet. These are the students that we will encounter in the junior and senior high school. So, do you think there is a difference between the perceptions of the old and new generation when it comes to education? Why do you think so? Okay, the answer is yes. So why? To repeat what I have said at the start of this video, what the old generation likes may not be the same as what the new generation prefers in life, work, and leisure. The old generation enjoyed slow and single-track patterns of activities like watching the telenovelas, and communications were a lot simpler and slower than like snail mails and telegrams. On the other hand, the millennials and the centennials are exposed to quick flicking video games, mobile phone texting, socializing through social websites like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and downloading movies and videos of local and foreign performers at the speed of a mouse click. As technology stages a change on how people learn, the challenge of teachers now is to bridge the generation gap. So I want you to group yourselves into two groups for our group activity after I give all the instructions. So here are the instructions. Each group will be given a brown envelope, a short brown envelope containing descriptive words or phrases. Again, let me repeat. Each group will be given a brown envelope containing descriptive words or phrases. What I want you to do is to pair the antonyms side by side with the preference of the old generation on the left column, and the preference of the new generation at the right column. Again, the preference of the old generation will be on the left column, and the preference of the new generation at the right column. Each group will be given 60 seconds or 1 minute to brainstorm and then post their answers on their assigned manila paper, which is also inside the short brown envelope that I will be giving. Again, everyone is advised to hold your hands up when the timer beeps. So, did everyone get the instructions? Do you all understand? Here is an example of what I want you to do. So, this, like for example, this is your manila paper, and on the left side you have the old and the new. Under the old, this is the text, and under the new, it's visuals. So, are you all ready? Okay, let's start.
The game begins in 3, 2, 1.
Okay, time's up. Hands up. That you have your answers posted on the blackboard. Then we will tackle each difference one by one. So let us start with text versus visuals. If you are a millennial like me, our parents read books, text, enriched by illustrations and photos. In order to research, they go to the school library, use the card catalogs for the needed books, and sign up to borrow books for home reading. And for the new technology generation or digital generation, we have greater affinity to visuals, such as photos and video, compared with text. In fact, we have been exposed since childhood to cable television and video images, especially cartoon characters. Yes, we have Dora, we have The Simpsons, and then to computer images in such a manner that their visual fluency or our visual fluency or abilities have been sharpened and enhanced. Next is we have the linear versus hypermedia. Does any one of you here understand what a linear learning is? Okay, the linear learning is logical and sequential in manner. The past 30-year-old generation has obtained information in a linear, logical, and sequential way. On the positive side, this has made them more logical, focused, and reflective thinkers. The new generation, however, follows a personal random access to hyperlinked. Do you know what is a hyperlink? Yes, that is the underlined and almost always blue words that you click, so you will be directed to another web page. So for this generation, we are exposed to hyperlinked digital information, and thus we have less superior focus and reflections than our elders. We appear to be more easily bored and distracted during class lectures. Are you still with me? So to recap, we have text under the old generation and visuals under the preference of the new generation, linear under the old generation, and finally hypermedia under the new generation. Next is independent versus social learners. I hope you got this right. Independent learning emphasizes more on individual learning. The traditional education system gives priority to independent learning prior to participative work. However, new learners now are already acquainted with digital tools that adapt to both personal and participative work. They take the opportunity for dozens of instantaneous ways to communicate with others, like mobile calls, text, emails, Facebook, Messenger, YouTube, MySpace, Twitter, wikis, etc. Experts describe this mode of digital learning as one that is based on experimentation, discovery, and intuition. Again, to repeat, digital learning is based on experimentation, discovery, and intuition. Next, we have, I think this is the very crucial difference. Before, it's learning to pass the test versus learning to do. All teachers teach students in order to help them pass tests and complete the course requirements. So that is what is the priority before. On the other hand, the new digital learners simply wish to acquire skills, knowledge, and habits as windows of opportunity to afford them to learn. Before, our parents or grandparents have completed a course and have engaged in a permanent job for most of their lives. So if you study well, then you will get a job, and then that's it. But right now, a different work situation awaits the digital generation. With contractual, multitask, and multi-career opportunities in a digital world ahead of them. Like you heard a lot of people saying that I'm a freelance or I'm a freelancer. So right now, most of the workforce, especially the millennials and hopefully the centennials, already have a lot of freelance works like in Upwork, Elance, and we do not rely in one stream of income anymore. I guess that is what is something good with the new generation. So to recap, we have text under old generation, visuals under the new, linear under the old generation, sorry, and hypermedia under the new generation, independent learning under the old generation, social learners under the new generation, learning to pass under the old generation, and lastly, learning to do under the new generation. So I hope by this time you already have you are already aware of the pros and cons of the old and new generation. Next, we have delayed rewards versus instant gratification. So the traditional reward systems in education consist in the grades, honor certificates or medals, and diplomas. Including future jobs, the traditional school's reward system consists of unclear rewards performance. On the other hand, digital learners on their own experience have immediate gratification through the immediate scores from games, enjoyable conversation from web calls, excitement from email chats, and inviting comments from their Facebook account. Like, a lot of people who post things on the social media and they are just really there to get more likes and hearts and maybe another emoticon reaction. And now we are down to our last comparison of the preferences of the old and new generation. We have rote memory versus fun learning. Rote memory is content-based teaching. And before, teachers feel obliged to deliver content-based courses, the learning of which is measurable by standard tests. On the other hand, digital learners prefer fun learning, which is relevant and useful to them. Learning is play to new learners, and not surprisingly, there is much fun in the digital world outside the school. To recap, we have text under the preference of the old generation, which is in contrast to visuals under the new generation. Linear, and then versus hypermedia. Independent versus social learners. Learning to pass versus learning to do. Delayed rewards versus instant gratification. Rote memory versus fun learning. I hope you got the answers right for all the comparisons. Do you think it will be good to eliminate the old or traditional ways to give way to technology? Well, there are consequences to how the old generation uh, do the teaching. There are also positive sides to it that we need to cultivate in the new generation. And of course, with the advancement of technology, we also need to adapt and hone our skills so we can guide the digital generation to the right path. So what can you do to take advantage of technology? Opportunities. We can use audiovisuals, media, and multimedia in teaching. We can also use hyperlink media for projects to enhance focus and retention because this is what our new generation lacks. We also need to incorporate problem-solving activities that will suit the new generation's preference for fun and relevant learning. So, do you have any questions? I hope you learned something today. And this has been Jahan. My reference is for this topic is Educational Technology 2 by Paz Lucido, second edition, and it is published under Lorimar Publishing. And here are the website links of the articles that I have searched in the internet on which I based my representation on. Thank you very much for listening. Have a nice day.